Want to catch big fish like a pro? For many fishermen, they catch big fish every time they go fishing. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you're going to become one of those big fish fishermen too. You're about to know all the best locations, cover, forage, presentations, and lures that make catching big fish look easy. This is going to change your fishing forever. Here we go. Number 1. There's an old saying in the South. You can't catch a big fish where he ain't. This is why the number 1 rule in catching big fish is to first find the water where the big fish live. Lakes, ponds, and rivers with a lot of shoreline cover such as bushes, lily pads, lay-down trees and aquatic grass, have the cover to hold big fish. The massive amount of cover enables big fish to put the odds in their favor as they can grab a meal easily while the cover disguises their presence in the water. If you fish offshore, you need to find waterways that have deep water structure with other compounded features on them. For example, if you're looking at an underwater point, what will make that point better is if it has rocks and a creek channel next to it. This would be a real good big fish magnet versus just a regular point. Any 2 or 3 different types of structure, compounded together on one spot, really increase your chances of catching big fish consistently out deep. Number 2. Forage. If a fish is going to get heavy, he needs to eat a lot, or he needs to eat big forage. Southern California has become known as the number 1 location for consistently putting out 10-pound plus fish. Why? Because it's the only segment in the country where Florida strain largemouth consistently are eating trout. In the South, lakes with gizzard shad and blue herring harbor big populations of giant fish. Florida waterways produce giant fish because they have golden shiners and other big minnows for the big fish to eat. In the Great Lakes up north, the smallmouth gorge on gobies by the millions a day, thus their smallmouth are the biggest in the country. So if you want to get around big fish consistently, you have to find lakes or ponds with the bigger bluegill, minnows, and crawdads in them. Number 3. Presentation and gear. No doubt, the best time to catch big fish is the first hour of the morning and the last hour of the afternoon. Big fish are much more likely to be roaming around and hunting at those times, and they're fooled easier at this time because that's when they are most optimistic. Also, night fishing on warm nights have been known to be one of the best times to catch big fish too. And you can't leave out the moon phase. For some reason, fishing around a full or dark moon is when most of the big fish are caught, so pay attention to the moon. And make sure you have the proper fishing equipment if you want to become a big fish expert. Whatever size rod, reel, and line you'd normally use, you should step it up 1 or 2 sizes. For example, try to fish with line that is at least 2 times the weight of the biggest fish you might catch. So if you think you might be in a lake where catching 8-pounders is normal, make sure you use 20-pound test line or more if you want to really increase your chances of landing giant fish. The reason for this is, fishing line can easily get nicked and then that 20-pound test line just became 10-pound test because of the weak spot in the line. And do you think an 8-pound fish can pull 10 pounds of pressure? Absolutely. But don't overdo it in terms of line size. Too big of line makes it easier for a big fish to see or hear the line moving through the water. This can cause a big fish to hesitate and not strike your bait because something seems odd or out of place to them. Number 4. Lures. The bigger the lure, the better your chances of catching a big fish. Why? 1. Because the smaller, more agile fish easily grab smaller lures before big fish can decide if they want to hit it or not. And 2. Because a heavier fish won't want to run around as much and chase smaller, harder to catch meals, that ultimately only mean less calories to them. This is one reason why some big fish have been known to live alone without any other game fish around. But there are times of the year when big fish school together with other fish their same size. If you run into this, it's game on. Lures like swim baits, jigs, big plastic worms, big topwaters, big spoons, and big crankbaits are all top big fish producers across the country. Whatever lure you pick, make sure you fish it slow. Big fish get big, because they are not as optimistic as smaller more aggressive fish. Big fish analyze a lure longer and make sure it's worth the effort before they try to grab it. Running around the lake throwing a small lure on a medium to fast retrieve is not usually a consistent way to catch a lot of trophy fish. And regarding color, it's widely known that the best big fish color is black and blue for largemouth. Other natural colors like green pumpkin and watermelon red flake can also be deadly. In swim baits, natural shad and bluegill patterns are really good, and in crankbaits, chartreuse with a black or blue back is great, as well as the sexy shad pattern. For smallmouth, natural brown and green colors probably catch the most big smallies every year. If that's not working, gaudy colors like chartreuse, white, and pink are really good. So make sure you try those too. For some reason, big smallmouth hate these bright colors and they will kill them if they see them. So, did you learn something about big bass fishing today? If so, make sure you hit like and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss out on the next fishing secrets video. And thanks for hanging out with us here. See you next time, and remember, it's all about attitude.